Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Will with Schedule Fly, and I'm really excited today to have another member from the Sweet Cow ice cream team joining me. Elissa Otten is in Denver. She's the GM of the Denver location and was kind enough to take some time out of her day to talk. So thank you, Elissa, very much.
You're very welcome. I'm excited.
Yeah, y'all have just a great organization, a great team. I spoke with Callie last week, and then a few weeks back, about a month or so ago, I spoke with Drew and Ross. And, of course, when I asked Drew, who are some folks that are on your team that are great at what they do and love what they do and would enjoy talking about it, he immediately said you and Callie. So thank you very much for doing this. And obviously your owners think very highly of you.
Well, hey, that's a good thing. I finally have found where I should be, so it's good to find that, especially in this work climate. Sometimes trying to find the right thing that you get to do what you love and you're happy, it's truly amazing.
Hold on to that. A lot of us have been through many things that we did for a while that we knew weren't the right fit and kind of had to. So it sounds like you may have. So tell me about that. I always like people to talk about just how did you get started in the hospitality business? And is this your first foray into hospitality, or had you done something?
No, I grew up, my family actually has a small business. And so I grew up helping out in that industry, which is actually an ice cream, soda shop, and candy store. So it's really in my blood. But then I moved out to Denver on a whim with no job, and found work with Starbucks. It was good for a while, but I was, store manager there and just really burnt out. So then I tried something totally different and went into insurance.
Oh, wow.
And tried an office job, and that was not for me. But I did that for 2.5 years, and then on a whim applied to Sweet Cow, and, it was a whirlwind, and they let me come in, do a on-the-job, interview, and have access to their staff to talk to and pick their brains about everything, and the transparency of the company, and the sheer excitement that everybody exuded, and the vibe of the stores were just amazing, and something that I felt like I had to be a part of.
Okay, there's several things to unpack here. This is cool. Okay, so you used the term "on a whim" a few times, so I like that. You've made some gut decisions, and it sounds like they've gotten you where you need to go. Where did you move from? Where'd you grow up?
Moline, Illinois.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, home of John Deere tractors.
Home of John Deere. Okay, that's no joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our claim to fame.
Yeah, right. You're right. John Deere and your family ice cream store, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, what about Denver? You said you kind of went on a whim. What about Denver attracted you?
Well, Illinois was in dire strength in 2008. No jobs or anything like that, and so needed to go somewhere where wasn't really hit by the recession, and so we decided, me, my boyfriend, and a friend from college, we just all up and left.
Gotcha. And then you made your way over to Sweet Cow. Now, one thing you said, which I found really interesting, and I think this is such a big piece, of any job, but particularly in hospitality, is it sounds like you had full access to not just hear Ross and Drew pitch what they're doing and their story and what they're trying to do, because they're going to be cheerleaders, obviously, as they should be, and any owner would be. But then, sometimes there's a disconnect between what the owner sees, thinks, believes is happening, because he or she, that's their vision, and then there's the vision of, well, here's the reality, kind of on the ground with the staff. And when there's that disconnect, that's where there's problems. But when you have folks like Drew and Ross that, are really inspiring their team, and it's authentic and genuine, they would want for you to speak to, I'm sure, all their team members because they know what kind of feedback you're going to get.
Definitely. And it was just so awesome to have that experience. It's 3 hours that I was just in the shop. I got to help customers. I got to talk to everybody in the room. So I had talked to the GM at that store, the assistant manager at that store, as well as just scoopers to see how they felt about the company. Making another change at, in my 30s, changing to another job, it really had to be the right fit for me. And I didn't want to keep job hopping. I wanted to find something that I could really excel at and grow and make a difference. And that's what I've found so far at Sweet Cow.
The one thing, I've thought about over the years with job interviews and things like that, like when I was younger, I would always think about, what can I do to make them want me to work for them? But now I think about it, and I have 3 kids now, and I think about, as they grow. I mean, my daughter's only 14, but, it won't be too long. But the way I would really want my kids, I think, as I advise into position is you certainly want them to want to hire you, but you also want to know what are some tough questions you need to ask to make sure that you want to be there, and what, how do you turn that around and ask things that are important to you, so that you're sure. And that's and that comes with maturity as you get into your 30s, you start to think that way. But I bet you had some of those questions. I'm curious what kinds of things you were asking that, you knew were really important for you to make that next switch in your career.
Yeah, well, I really kind of focused on, how happy the GM and the assistant manager were in the shop. Because to me, that really says, is it feasible? Is it going to be something that I'm going to burn myself out with in a few years? Or is it going to be something that's sustainable for me? I'm kind of a workaholic coming from a family business, Yeah. That's all you know. And so for me, that was a big concern. And then also just making sure, they're a young company in comparison to what I know. My family business has been around for 110 years. So I hadn't worked for such a new company. So I was also making sure that, their vision, their growth strategy was going to be sustainable as well. And then, I did the general manager thing for quite a while. And so knowing that there's potential for me to grow into a different position was important to me as well.
What is the role of a general manager there? Like, what are the main things? I know you do a million things as a GM. I'm always curious because general manager is a general term, right? Like it means a ton. It sounds easy, general manager, but it's like there's like a list a mile long typically of things you have to do. So what are the main things that you're focused on?
Yeah. So, I currently can give you some things that I'm working on. So we do reviews twice a year, so I'm working on those right now. I do all the hiring, firing. I have an assistant manager. She does the scheduling, and then I approve the schedules. And then generally, I do all the ordering, the inventory. I put out the flyers,
yeah,
which never seem to end in the food industry.
No, they don't. I know.
So, and then right now too, I'm doing a lot of community outreach. And so I did a summer reading program this summer, and then I'm currently working on a fall festival for kids in the neighborhood. So I do a lot of different things. As my grandfather would say, I wear many different hats. It depends on the day what I'm doing.
Yes, you do. You have to. Hiring and firing. It's that's probably never an easy thing, although you probably get a little bit more used to it. But what how's that going right now? I mean, I keep hearing from everybody it's hard to find and keep good people, but then of course the unemployment rate is so low right now. Like, is there a supply and demand issue with trying to find people? And then on the flip side of that, what are you having to let them go for? I mean, without getting into tons of detail, but I'm just curious, like, what things typically cause you to realize that somebody's not the best fit?
Yeah. So really, the pool is light. For us, we have a lot of high school and college kids. So I find, that's grand if they are mature enough to handle the responsibility. Sweet Cow has very high standards of what we expect when you're there. And then, you get a lot of people that are job hopping as well, are never satisfied with where they're at. So that's a big thing about, doing the interviewing and everything, is making sure you're finding out if it's just they need a job now and they're going to be gone in a couple months. What is truly their investment and what, are they looking for? And then with the firing right now, it's been a lot of attendance issues more than anything. That is what gets me to give them the boot.
What do you mean? Like they don't show up for their shift?
Yep. No call, no show.
They're not checking schedule fly? What's going on?
Yeah, I know.
It's right at your fingertips.
Exactly. I don't know how to stress it enough.
That's why this is part of what we do this for, is to eliminate that stuff. It was like when you had to call in and stuff or come check it, there could be errors, but it's right there on your phone 24/7.
I know. So there's literally no excuse.
God. Well, it is accountability, that's for sure. I mean, there really isn't an excuse, is there? No, like, hey, I called in and they told me the wrong time. Nah, it's literally right there on your... No. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. And part of it, is the maturity level. And I guess having to have... I've worked since I was 12 years old, so having that as, my backbone, and, not a lot of kids have had that, where they've been required to work or have that work ethic ingrained into them at such a young age, I think is, part of the issue that we're having. And then just they spread themselves too thin as well. They're trying to get their college degree. They're not taking into account how much their coursework is going to take, how much it needs to be a balance for them. They need to have a balance with their work life, their personal life, and their school life. That can really affect that as well.
Yeah, it seems like the workloads are getting bigger these days. More kids are, like, everybody's going to college because it's gotten easy to, you get, like, everybody can kind of afford it because the student loans are so easy. And then you have everybody going to school, which means there's just more and more pressure to go to good schools, and workloads are going up. So, I mean, I think the school works more than it was back in our day, probably.
Definitely. And I think, they just don't realize that. And then, especially when September hits for us, we start to see that kind of dwindle. They're like, I can't handle all of the things I'm trying to do. Which, I appreciate when people can identify that, that they're, maxed out on everything. They can't do everything.
But people, let them know in advance. Don't just not show up. You don't want to burn bridges.
I know.
That's good advice, no matter what. Don't be proactive about it. If you can't handle it, let them know and let them plan so that they have it. You keep your reputation really strong because it'll come back around.
Exactly. And, that's one thing that I try to stress to all of my new hires, is making sure that they know that, ice cream may not be what you're going to do for the rest of your life by any means, but I can teach you so much. We can teach you so much about yourself, about hard work, and give you the skills that you need to be successful in your next venture in life. But you have to be open to it.
Yes, for sure. And the good thing about what I love about Sweet Cow is that you're growing, and anybody that's got sort of the foresight to think ahead. I mean, you've got a wonderful opportunity within this company to grow with the business, and if you're there, showing up, working hard, putting your head down, and doing what you need to do, then opportunities arise over time. I love. It's one of the great things about small independent businesses is as they grow, good people can grow with them and turn it from a job into a fulfilling, meaningful, growing career,
Exactly.
which I know is what you were looking for, and it's just something that the right folks. But I know it's tough too, probably with you all with high school and college. I mean, a lot of them just aren't thinking that far ahead. It can't be, but
nope.
and that's okay. But let me ask you this: how much of it, like your turnover now, how much is firing people, and how much is it people deciding they're not, deciding on their own they're not going to work anymore, or is it they decide by not showing up? Like, is that like sort of the passive aggressive way to quit, or something like what?
Yeah, there is that, but I would say right now it's about 50-50, at least for this fall it has been, which of course is fine, because really I respect when people are in tune to their needs and make decisions based on what they need to focus on. And so that's so important to your overall development as a person. And I think, it has been interesting because you think you have responsible college students, and but then they don't show up for their shifts, and you're just like, wait a second, how are you going to make it through life?
Yeah. Well, they end up, they look back on that and learn. You're kind of doing them a favor when you let them go, probably, because eventually you look back and go, okay, that made sense. I should have been let go, and now I'm learning from that. But you've got, you've got. Well, it's interesting. Gosh, you're serving this incredible product, this great ice cream, and making people smile. It's like, dude, why would you not want to work there if you had what a great place? Like, how many places do you work where there's like really good ice cream right in front of you all the time? And I mean, nobody goes to an ice cream shop and leaves angry. I mean, we're like rarely.
Exactly. Well, and then we have dance parties like all of the time. We have a disco ball. We have good jams going all the time. So for me, it's awesome,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What do you love most about what you do?
That's a very loaded question. I mean, there's so many things. Probably, my favorite is really seeing and connecting with customers on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Last night I saw one of our regulars, and I didn't see him in a while, and they just got back from Mexico, and they just got engaged, and they came in to celebrate with some ice cream.
That's so cool.
And yeah, and we also have the luxury with Sweet Cow that we have comps that we can use to buy people's ice cream, and so I use my 100% comp to buy them ice cream, to really celebrate with them and thank them for having us be a part of it. It's special, and it's great to be able to connect with all of these different people in the community, and truly turn their days around or celebrate with them, laugh with them, and it's just amazing.
What a great I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and I guess my second thing would just be, really mentoring the employees, trying to help them grow as people and as employees.
Yeah, the example of the folks coming in, having been engaged and celebrating, it almost like what a great example of just the many reasons that people come in. You know, if you're in hospitality, there's people coming in every day for all kinds of occasions. They could be happy occasions. They could be sad occasions. But there's typically some, you know, or often there's some reason. Maybe they're just hungry and they're just coming to have something. But it's almost like you want to ask everybody, maybe y'all do, like, what brings you in tonight? Because, gosh, if you find out, you know, you find out why, it just makes the experience so much more relatable, and it probably makes it more, I guess, just more engaging and more meaningful for the team member, right? Like when you know these things,
Yeah.
it's like, God, they're not just having ice cream; they're having ice cream to celebrate that such and such just happened, or you know.
Yeah, and it's just such a neat experience because you actually truly connect with them, and it's not like a transaction. It's really taking time to let people have a little glimpse of the humanity in everyone. And so it's so special.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So, well, look, I really enjoyed talking to you, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on here and do this. And it's very clear, I'm not surprised, but it's very clear. Everybody I've spoken to in your organization is just positive, authentic, genuine, sincere, clearly loves what they do. It's a great organization you are building, and I tip my hat, a lot of respect for what y'all are doing. And we're really proud to serve y'all. It's just fun to hear folks that, you know, really are very happy in their career and doing something they wake up every day and, you know, have to work hard at, but enjoy that hard work. It makes it worthwhile. So I appreciate you taking the time very much, Elissa, to come on and speak with me.
Well, thank you so much, Will. It was great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime. If we can do anything for you, let me know, and I'll let you run. And I've told Callie and Drew and Ross, and I'll tell you, I hope to get to out to the Boulder, Denver area this winter, and I'm stoked that y'all are still open and doing a lot of business in, so I'm going to come see y'all if I can.
Oh, yeah. We're scooping up smiles every day.
All right, cool. Well, you'll have another one from me if I can make it. So thank you very much.
Okay.
I'll let you run, and we'll talk again soon, I'm sure. I appreciate it. All right, take care.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.